All right, let's dive right in. Today we're tackling something that's, well, been all over the news. This really sudden and very public fight between Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's quite the turnaround.
So using the material we've gathered, we're going to unpack what kicked this off, why it's making such big waves, and, maybe figure out what could happen next.
It's pretty striking how fast it all flipped. I mean, looking at the sources, it feels like just yesterday things were completely different.
Absolutely. The info shows a relationship that really just months ago looked pretty solid. We're talking serious backing, too.
Right.
Almost $300 million from Musk supporting Trump in 2024. And it wasn't just cash, was it?
No, not at all. He was actually involved, served in Trump's, what is it called? The Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, DOGE.
Yeah, that was the nickname, apparently.
The DOGE, right. So they were actively working together. It looked like they were on the same page, where tech influence meets conservative politics.
But then, wow, the shift the sources describe is just dramatic. Completely. By early June 2025, that whole collaborative vibe, gone. Just open hostility.
So what broke it? What was the actual trigger? The thing that took them from being allies, even collaborators, to this?
It seems pretty clear from the material. The main catalyst looks like Trump's big tax and spending package.
For one big, beautiful bill.
Well, that's the one. That nickname stuck fast.
And Musk's reaction reading the accounts was like instant and brutal online.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't just disagree politely. He called it a disgusting abomination. Specifically pointed out the debt impact, right? The $2.4 trillion.
Exactly. And, that kind of very public, very harsh criticism from someone who is basically just on your team, that clearly hit a nerve.
It must have. And Trump's response was just as fast and maybe even more potent business-wise.
Definitely more potent from a business angle. He threatened to pull federal subsidies, government contracts from Tesla and SpaceX.
Wow. Okay, so that takes the fight straight to Musk's bottom line.
Brave into his core interests.
But then, looking at the sources, it feels like it escalated even beyond policy or business threats. It got way more personal.
It did, yeah. Musk made a pretty explosive suggestion online.
Suggesting Trump's name was in the sealed Epstein files.
That's a huge leap, right? Moving from policy arguments to really serious personal allegations, that changes the game.
And Trump's reply, as reported, was just as cutting. And sounds like he shut down any idea of making up.
Yeah, reportedly called Musk a man who has lost his mind. And seems like he's just waved off any attempts to get them talking again.
So it doesn't seem like, at least from Trump's side, according to this info, there's much appetite for reconciliation.
Not at all. The sheer intensity of what they're saying publicly just shows how deep this split is. And it's not just words, is it? This fight had immediate, real-world financial impacts.
It absolutely did. The market didn't wait. Tesla shares just plunged, what was it, around 14%?
Not about 14%, yeah. And to give you a sense of scale, that drop just vaporized over $130 billion in market value.
$130 billion.
Wow.
And for Musk himself, the material suggests his net worth took a hit, too.
A big one. Down by roughly $33 billion. That's a staggering amount of money tied directly to this public spat.
And that threat Trump made about government action, it's not just hypothetical, especially for SpaceX.
No, it carries real weight. If he actually canceled contracts, that could potentially mess up critical NASA missions that really rely on SpaceX's Dragon.
Right. So this isn't just about two billionaires arguing. It affects major government projects, the whole NASA-SpaceX relationship built over years.
Exactly.
Okay, so given how fast and, frankly, ugly this got, did anyone try to step in? Did the sources mention any attempts to, calm things down?
Yeah, there were some moves behind the scenes. The reports mention White House officials, even the billionaire Bill Ackman apparently tried pushing for them to just get on the phone.
Sort of a let's cool it suggestion?
Pretty much. The idea was maybe if they both just backed off a bit, it could help everyone.
But it sounds like that didn't really fly.
Well, according to the accounts, Trump just wasn't interested. Musk seemed maybe a little open to it online after Ackman nudged him, but overall,
the tension's still high.
Exceptionally high. Based on everything we're seeing, no public signs of a truce or anyone backing down yet.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What does this all mean for the bigger picture, beyond just Musk and Trump? What are the broader implications here, based on this material?
Looking at the wider landscape, a few big things jump out. Politically, this really seems to crack that tech right alliance that looked like it was solidifying.
Yeah, that seemed like a growing force.
And what's really interesting in the material is Musk hinting at something potentially much bigger.
Which is?
The idea of maybe starting a new centrist party,
Yeah.
once he's got other things off his plate.
Wow, a new party
Yeah.
coming out of this feud. That's quite a potential consequence.
It really is. Then economically, like we touched on, the sources show Tesla and SpaceX are now in a much trickier spot. More regulatory risk, more dependent on those government relationships.
That threat about canceling contracts is hanging over them.
Very real, very potentially damaging. And then culturally,
What does this whole meltdown tell us about how these powerful figures operate today?
well, culturally, it's just a stark reminder of how volatile these high-profile relationships can be.
Right.
The sources really highlight how fast alliances can just crumble. Today's allies can be tomorrow's public enemies, seemingly in weeks. It points to a kind of maybe transactional nature to these connections.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Based on everything we've looked at, what should you, the listener, keep an eye on as this story unfolds?
Well, first, that hint from Musk about a new party. Does that actually go anywhere? Is it serious or just a heat of the moment thing?
Good question. Second, will Trump follow through on the SpaceX contract threats?
Yeah.
The impact there for the company and for NASA would be massive.
Huge. And third, those comments Musk made about Trump and Epstein, will those lead anywhere? Legal action, more political fallout, they are pretty serious claims.
Yeah, not throwaway lines.
Definitely not. But one thing the material makes absolutely clear,
This isn't over.
not by a long shot. It feels far from resolved.
Yeah, it's obviously way more than just a personal spat.
Huh?
It's actively changing the connections between Silicon Valley, Wall Street, Washington. And maybe the final thought to leave you with, drawing from all this material, is in a world where these powerful alliances seem increasingly, well, pragmatic and maybe temporary, is this kind of super fast, very public, very dramatic breakdown the new normal for how power players interact? Something to think about.